bricks and mortar video game retailers have had a hard time of it recently. Competition from sites like Amazon and the rise of digital gaming, where downloads are increasingly preferred over physical sales, have really put a dent in their operations. But what does it say for the future of games retail, where GameStop, the biggest games retailer of them all, has decided to close a further 150 stores across the US?
GamesIndustry.biz reports that GameStop will be closing at least 150 of their retail stores throughout 2017. The reason they gave was the difficult sales period they experienced over the 2016 holiday, or Christmas as normal people call it, season. According to the website Fortune, the retailer saw declines across almost every part of its business, with hardware sales down 29%, while software sales were down 19.3% in Q4 2016. GameStop themselves blamed weak sales of some big AAA titles in the run-up to Christmas and aggressive competition from other retailers. As a result, the firm made the decision to close between 2 to 3% of their roughly 7,000 stores, specifically stores they have deemed non-productive. To offset, they will open 35 new collectible stores and 65 technology outlets, whatever that means.
So they're blaming Black Friday for it, and all the deals.
The games as well, the games that didn't sell. That's the two things they were blaming.
So the market's getting more competitive, isn't it, with these online digital deals that are coming in, Black Friday, and GameStop are feeling the pinch of it. Although it's 150 stores out of 7,000, 2 to 3%.
It's kind of, it's a drop in the ocean.
A lot of people losing their jobs, though, which is never good to hear. So we do empathise with those people who are losing their jobs, but it's healthy competition for the industry, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's interesting to see them kind of try and rationalise it by saying, oh, games weren't selling last year, oh, the competition was too severe last year. Incidentally, a lot of people were talking about how deep the discounts were on Black Friday last year. I can remember a lot of businesses and a lot of outlets like MCV, which is like a trade, website for video games. They were talking about how really deep discounts were kind of hurting the industry. A lot of analysts and stuff were saying all these deep discount sales for consoles and all kinds of things were actually costing money for a lot of companies, and it wasn't a good thing. So it's going to be interesting to see how Black Friday actually pans out this year. I don't know if it's going to be as awesome as it was last year.
They're taking a lot of flack in the media recently, where they were putting pressure on employees to get their targets for selling used sales or something, and they were threatening with the sack and things like that. We don't know whether that's just isolated or whether that's like a general way that they approach sales, which it's dubious. A lot of people have got critics of GameStop. I'm not happy that people are losing their jobs, but I'm not entirely enthralled by their practices either.
Yeah, it's difficult because on the one hand they are the shop that will give you nothing when you trade in your game. They'll give you such a shit price when you trade games in. In the UK it's Game, but it's a very similar kind of business model. It's Game copies a lot of what GameStop does. So you'll get next to nothing for games when you trade it in, but then they'll put it on the shelf about 20 minutes later for like 30, 35 quid, and it's just, a lot of us know better than to use shops like GameStop. The people who give money to GameStop, the people GameStop rely on, are your parents, gift buyers, grandmas and stuff. Genuinely part of their target audience.
But the thing is that they should be rolling with the times. These stores, they have to innovate with the way that they appeal to people and get people through the door. They shouldn't be squeezing their employees and taking full price games or new games off the shelf just to sell them used games so they can get more profit out of. That's shady business practice. What they need to host events for gaming events and things, and get
creative,
esports events, something like that, or
try before you buy, that kind of stuff. They're in a unique position.
Offer a VR trial or something for free.
Exactly, VR, that kind of stuff. I mean, they're in a unique position to give you let you experience the thing you're going to buy before you buy it, to get you excited about the game that you're about to buy, and they just don't do that enough. I don't think.
You can't. That's the beauty of bricks and mortar stores, that they can offer that. You can try this game right here.
I think if they try to become kind of gaming community hubs, I know here in Wales, if there's a video game shop, that's a great opportunity to make that shop a hub for a lot of the gamers that are spread out over a big kind of rural area. You could get a lot of gamers together and do some cool stuff.
Generate events and stuff.
Generate goodwill and get some support through that way, rather than ripping us off when we're trading games in and trying to sell us those games back for like 4 times as much as you offered us for. That's the kind of thing that happens when you're getting squeezed as a business, though, isn't it? They're like, oh shit, we need to make more money. So then pre-owned is working for us. Let's hammer pre-owned as hard as we can.
Of course, GameStop insisted that this news was nothing new. They announced the closures as part of their new annual strategy over 3 years ago. But GameStop isn't alone in the difficult sales it's been experiencing. MTV reported back in February that game publishers saw a 19% fall in physical game sales in 2016, but around a 32% increase in digital sales, a fact which definitely hurts retailers like GameStop. Only Sega saw an increase in physical sales, but this is most likely because they've found success in making niche games for small audiences who are arguably more likely to buy physical than digital. A key factor in GameStop's troubles, as they said themselves, was around the time of Black Friday and the run-up to Christmas. Games like Watch Dogs 2, Titanfall 2, Dishonored 2 and Call of Duty all received substantial discounts around Black Friday. This meant GameStop's profit margins were slimmer as a result. That's not to mention the fact that all those games had been sales disappointments as well, selling far less than each of their predecessors.
But if you ask us, the real pressing question is what happens to bricks and mortar shops and even websites reliant on physical game sales as digital becomes more and more popular. The majority of PC sales are done through platforms like Steam or websites like GOG, and that's been true for some time. But consoles are catching on quick these days as well, as the PSN Store and Xbox Marketplace improve every year and offer us more and more tempting sales as time goes on. The biggest thing holding console digital stores back now is the high price point of new full-price titles, which are still held at the £50 to £55 mark here in the UK to preserve the competitiveness of retail stores like Game. What happens to bricks and mortar and physical sales in general when Sony, Microsoft and co decide to drop that digital price point? So the console kind of providers, the publishers, Sony, Microsoft, they've kind of been open about the fact that they keep their prices quite high because there's pressure from Game want to be competitive. So Game in the UK specifically, they want to be competitive, so they don't want to be undercut by digital, which digital is better than physical in almost every sense, apart from pricing currently. It's a lot more expensive. Like you can get a boxed PS4 or an Xbox game now for under 40 quid, brand new from a lot of websites.
I think there will always be a demand for physical copies of games, no matter what happens to these retail stores.
That's true.
There'll always be demand for people. Wherever there's a demand, there'll always be someone willing to sell you a product. So the fact that they use that as justification, in my eyes, is bullshit. So there are obviously benefits to having a real life physical copy of a game over the digital. That is not just the price. There's collectors, there's people who like just to collect games, there's people who don't like all this DRM bullshit and be able to access their games whenever they want. So that's another. I mean, it's not always the case, but if you've got a physical copy of a game, you can sell it on as well. What I mean?
Which is a huge factor for me. That's why honestly, it's a big factor in the way I buy a lot of my games. I would prefer probably to get most games on PC, but then I know once I've bought that, then I can't do anything with it afterwards. Whereas I can get a PlayStation 4 game and sell it and get a nice bit of money back. So do you still use bricks and mortar stores? Let us know why you prefer to shop that way down in the comments. Remember to leave a like and subscribe if you did enjoy the video. We've got some more content right here for you and a little link to Patreon if you want to support this channel. We'll see you next time.